So next, we're going to take Representative Felix's bill, 5488. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a very long night, so I'm going to keep mine short unless anyone has questions. But in essence, this bill would change the maximum prison sentence for misdemeanors offenses from 1 year, defined as 365 days, to 364 days. And although this change may sound minimal, it could actually have enormous benefits for some of our immigrant families. And that's because misdemeanors are often defined as crimes for which persons may receive a punishment of no more than 1 year imprisonment. And however, in some states, the maximum penalty is 365 days, and in others, it's 364. And I'll try my best to not make you all go to sleep by explaining immigration law. But under immigration law, a non-citizen is deportable for a single offense of a crime involving moral turpitude committed within 5 years of first being admitted, if the offense has a maximum possible sentence of 1 year or more. And this could be anything from shoplifting to fraud to adultery. And even if the person receives no jail time, if the offense carries a potential sentence of 1 year or more, they can still face inadmissibility or be removed from the United States. So I'll keep mine short. Basically, this will close the loophole between state law and federal law and help protect our immigrant communities from possible deportation for minor misdemeanor crimes. Happy to answer any questions.
Do any of the members of the committee have questions of the sponsor, Representative Felix? Seeing none.
First caller is Carl.
Carl? Carl, are you with us? Carl?
Yes, good evening.
Welcome to the House Committee on Judiciary. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee members. My name is Carl Krueger. I'm an attorney. I've been practicing immigration law for about 35 years, and I'm here tonight to testify on behalf of the Rhode Island affiliate of the ACLU. I'm one of their volunteer attorneys in support of H5488. The federal immigration law is confusing and sometimes bizarre, and for certain lawful permanent resident non-citizens who've had contact with the criminal justice system, it can be harsh and unforgiving. At one point 30 years ago, the federal immigration law gave great deference to the individual state's characterization of criminal dispositions and accepted the well-settled definition of the distinction between misdemeanors and felonies. Misdemeanors being crimes that are punishable by up to a year in jail, and felonies crimes that can be punished by more than a year in jail. But over the last few decades, administrative interpretation and acts of Congress have eroded that deference, that distinction, to the point where now the federal immigration law is straddling this line between felonies and misdemeanors on the wrong side of the line, 1 day on the wrong side of the line in many cases, to the point that consequences will attach if a non-citizen is convicted of a crime, certain types of crimes that are punishable by a year or more. So that includes misdemeanors in that sweep. That lawful permanent resident alien can find himself in a deportation proceeding. In certain circumstances, if a non-citizen is sentenced after conviction for certain types of crimes to a year or more in jail, then the individual, again, will find himself facing deportation consequences. The federal immigration law doesn't make a distinction between suspended sentences and time actually served. So it is a very common scenario that if an individual is convicted of a single shoplifting offense, a misdemeanor shoplifting offense, and gets a 1 year suspended sentence, doesn't spend a day in jail, that individual is going to be in a deportation proceeding and is going to be absolutely without any relief available at all. The person will be deported and will never be allowed to return to the United States. This is without regard to family ties, length of residence in the United States, or any other equity. This is how harsh the immigration law is these days. So this legislation will be a big help by, again, reestablishing this distinction between misdemeanors and felonies, and ensuring that that non-citizens don't face these harsh consequences for instances of minor misconduct. So I'm hopeful that the committee will see fit to vote in support of this, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Carl. Any questions of this witness by the members of the committee? Representative Felix.
Not a question, but just a comment. Thank you for coming out and testifying in support of this bill. And I don't know if you remember many years ago, not to date anyone, but I was an intern at International Institute before it became Dorcas International. And it was because of Carl that I decided to become an immigration attorney, because of his knowledge and his experience. It really motivated me. So I don't know if you know that, but I just want to say thank you.
Well, thank you for the kind words.
Nice. Our next witness is David Valise. Hello, David. Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, welcome to the House Committee on Judiciary. You have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson and members of the committee. I'm sure it's been a long night, so I'll be very brief. My name is David Valise. I am the director and lead organizer for the Rhode Island Interfaith Coalition to Reduce Poverty. We would like to voice our support for Bill 5488, which would change the definition of a misdemeanor from 1 year to 364 days. This minor change of 1 day would have a major impact on immigrant families in Rhode Island. The bill will not change the prosecutor's ability to charge people with felonies for larger offenses, but instead will keep minor offenders like lawful permanent residents who are charged with crimes that require no jail time, for example, from facing deportation and being taken from their families. We don't believe in unfair and disproportionate consequences and tearing families apart for simple mistakes. We believe in redemption and that everyone has a chance to change their path and learn from their past. The Rhode Island Interfaith Coalition to Reduce Poverty is a coalition of faith leaders and advocates throughout Rhode Island who are working to end poverty and fight inequality. Our collective faiths are united in the belief that we must fight injustice and help those in need. I'm going to leave you with one of our collective proverbs from one of our faiths. Proverbs 31, it says, "Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly and defend the rights of those who are poor and needy." Thank you for your time and for supporting this legislation and for helping immigrant families in Rhode Island. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Do any of the members have a question of this witness? Hearing none, that concludes the testimony on House Bill 5488.